Welcome to a house show
Welcome to the house show.
where we drop all the niceties and
What theme
just
song was I trying to do there?
Figured that out.
welcome to the.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was doing a big show thing.
I was like,
Well, it's the big
Well, it's
show.
Well,
no.
welcome to the house show.
We need to get a auto tune type thing. We can do like a welcome to a house show.
I usually just play the most random music that I've listened to in like the last hour or so.
Yeah, that's
before I put the show up or
Well,
whatever.
now you have to do. You can do the cut well, and then you just stop it and you say, welcome to the house show. Like add your own voice into it. It'd be very jarring.
But we came together today,
Like we do every couple weeks.
every couple of weeks or so, and a couple weeks ago we had a special guest on the show with us, Shane O'Mac.
This Tuesday in Texas?
This Tuesday in Texas.
This Tuesday in Texas.
And we had so much fun doing that we were just like, we really just want you to just come on with us all the time and join us permanently.
We feel like we've been a pretty good two-man booth, but a good three-man booth trumps a good two-man booth
Because
any day of the week.
we've kind of figured our roles a little bit that like I've seen some of this stuff, but I do a lot of the research and whatnot.
Matt is the workhorse.
Yeah.
For sure.
Michael, on the other hand, hasn't really seen any of this stuff, so he's kind of seen it with fresh eyes for the first time.
Oh, yeah, and I keep it that way on purpose. There's like, if I wasn't doing this, then I would probably be reading about it and like not necessarily watching it as much, and then I'd kind of know what's happening. But since we started this, like the things I know and the things I don't know, I don't do the research in between because why would I want to do that to myself? I hate knowing who wins a match.
Exactly.
Why do you think I hate Hulk Hogan?
And then we had Shane, who came in and he supplied some like different perspective because he actually watched this stuff growing up.
Yeah, like this, like if you started the show with us, you wouldn't be able to have the same input that you have now. And it's like, oh, well, it's perfect timing.
Exactly.
Like this is where you came online to wrestling.
Yeah, I sound youthful in my my voice over the airwaves here, but I'm actually old as fuck and have been around
I
since...
am officially no longer the old guy.
Age redacted.
Nice. Yeah, I've been around, watched lots of shows forever. WrestleMania 2 was, I think, the first pay-per-view that I remember seeing. You know, saw some of the rock and wrestling stuff back in the day on MTV, but had no idea really what any of it was.
Those are the shows that I want to cover so badly, and we'll find them. And now that you're here, I think that we'll have a good excuse to do at some point. I want to watch the rock and wrestling shows, but I also want to cover them. Early MTV is already interesting enough.
Oh yeah.
That like adding like peak Hulkamania to it.
Can't say I'm excited about the peak Hulkamania part.
I mean, you know,
I never was.
it's fine. I'm not either, but I think that it just like it seems so necessary for the show because of the music relation to like early WrestleManias and stuff. Like it really is tied in so like deeply to the beginning of the WWF as people know it today. As the Vince property, not the WWF, but like as the, you know, as Hulk took the belt off Sheik, like it's super important for those first couple of years.
The whole world changed. But yeah, it was a...
So you started watching pay-per-views around WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, I remember going to my... to hang with my cousins, and my aunt and uncle were big into wrestling, so they had rented WrestleMania 2.
Nice.
Yeah, back in the old clamshell movie cases, and going down to the local mom and pop video store in town.
Absolutely.
And,
That's how I got into...
Seeing all the Coliseum home videos. But yeah, I mean, I watched it, but had no real idea of who anybody was at the time, and you know, didn't live with them, so obviously had no idea when the next show would be, but I remember spotting them at different video stores over the year and getting some of the Coliseum home videos just so I could see what was happening, because I remembered seeing Hogan, or I remembered King Kong Bundy, or I'm trying to think who else was on the show. There's a lot of people. Bret Hart.
Bret Hart was on that. Tito was on that show.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I had memories of all these people and then decided to just keep running because it caught my interest, and I was very...
Lord Littlebrook was on that show.
Lord Littlebrook?
Yeah, the midgets. They were...
Oh.
That was WrestleMania
That's
too.
right.
Yeah, that was there was a couple. I don't remember their names.
That's the only one I remember.
Okay. I mean, Lord Littlebrook's a pretty good name, honestly.
But watching Saturday night's main event was always fun. I think it was around WrestleMania 4 that I really got into it, because I started seeing some of the superstars or whatever the show was back in the day, and just the build up to the WrestleMania with the tournament. Yeah, seeing some of the stuff with Andre and Hogan after the whole referee being paid off, or the twin referees, I should say.
Oh yeah, the twin referee.
Yes. Sneaky.
They've gotten better. That's the thing that I've really noticed is like, okay, that would have been good to know, which is a thing that I think we said for like maybe the first 15 episodes. And it's gotten better over time, where it's like they let you know what you need to know. But like the double referee thing, great idea.
Oh hell yeah!
It was
Handled better than plenty of ideas before it, but still could have been handled better. And like there's so many finishes or storylines were just like, why do I even care about this? It's like, well, I guess I wasn't watching weekly local television to see Wahoo McDaniel's feud at the time.
Yeah.
But renting WrestleMania 4 and just, I know, the pageantry of that whole experience there, with the tournament going on, automatically being drawn into Savage and Elizabeth.
That's the
chef's kiss.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Savage.
If I'm gonna be a little salty, I'll be sprinkling the salt from above, because it was just perfection.
Like Savage is the best WWF stuff to this point has all involved Savage, right?
Yeah.
All of it. All the best stuff involves Savage.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, he may not have been the poster child for the company, but he's what kept people wanting to watch. Whether he was a good guy, bad guy.
Yeah,
he took it to
commentator,
the limit.
Just whatever.
But I remember walking down and renting WrestleMania 5 after it had come out on video, and I was anxiously awaiting, because I knew the video store 2 blocks from my house in little old Crete, Nebraska, would have it within 4 weeks of the time that it had actually aired. So I got my name on the list for all of their wrestling videos. They knew me by name, and anytime one was coming out, my name was automatically put down as the first person. So, sorry, folks, you were taken down by
after me.
a kid. But yeah, I mean, it was on from there. Any chance that it was on TV, I was scoping it out or setting the recorder on our VCR, and then I started dabbling into some of the NWA, WCW side of things, and getting more familiar with them, because a lot of them I had heard or read their name in different little magazines or whatever, but hadn't actually watched much of Ric Flair or Lex Luger or Barry Windham.
Yeah.
Sting was obviously one who drew me in right away, because I was a huge
look at
Ultimate Warrior fan.
I mean, it's like, well, Ric Flair, Barry Windham, like, it's like, yeah, great wrestlers, but they don't look like Sting.
No.
Sting looks like a guy that you want to look at.
Sting is
like,
a gimmick, while these other guys, they're just guys.
They're just guys, yeah. Like, Ric Flair's not particularly handsome. Sting is traditionally, like, handsome. So it's
Sting
like, people want to look at people that look good.
Sting is what, a kid my age at that time, that's who I wanted to grow up to be.
Because he was a superhero. He was a superhero
Well, he was a superhero. He was buff. He was, he's a hot dude.
He's handsome. He's got cool hair. Like, He's like, he looks like somebody from, like a dude on the beach in the background from, like, Baywatch, but with, like, face paint on. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, yeah. Like, this is what a hot guy is at the time.
But yeah, grew up I was a huge Savage fan, a huge Warrior fan. Once I found Sting, I was a huge Sting fan as well. Loved the Rockers. Got to go see a lot of the live classic stars or live shows with the classic stars. One of my first shows was Ultimate Warrior versus Andre the Giant for the Intercontinental title.
Wow.
That sounds fun.
I had
that's a house show match?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
It was supposed to be the main event of the show that I went to in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it happened right after intermission, so a lot of people missed it because it was like a 30-second match. Warriors music started to play as people were making their way back from the concession stand, and by the time
everyone sat down, he was
the music
shaking
stopped,
the
the match was
leaving.
over, the music started again because he pretty much just ran in, threw a couple clotheslines, hit a flying shoulder splash and win. And yeah, it was awesome because I was there able to see it, but it also sucked because I wanted to see the Ultimate Warrior wrestle, and I got 30 seconds of it.
That's a hell of a bummer.
Yeah, it made me want more.
Yeah, as a kid, but as an adult, you've been like, whatever.
I got to see Macho Man
Gotta hook 'em
fight.
As an adult, you know why it was a 30-second match.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. So, was your dad into wrestling?
Didn't have a dad. It was, again, my uncle who took me to a lot of the shows.
Yeah.
And then I got my older brother who started taking me because he realized I was into it and he wanted something that
so you
kind of
got into it. Your uncle wasn't a huge wrestling fan, was he?
Borderline.
Yeah. He's like...
I didn't realize how much they watched it until the years went by.
Really? He was kind of a dabbler, but you being into it gave him more of an excuse to lean in.
Yeah, the cousins were really into it too. So I mean, they helped fuel my desire for wrestling.
Yeah.
And then once I actually got to start going to the shows, then it was I just wanted more.
He was full bore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And getting to sit back now and say that I got to see classic matches with
I'm jealous
Macho
as hell.
Man fighting DiBiase. I got to see a Brother Love interview in the ring with Elizabeth and Sherry. I got to see...
I'm jealous as hell right now. I'm like, that sounds great.
I got to see the Rockers, Demolition, and Heart Foundation in the ring together. I was there for a lot of awesome moments, not just house shows, but ones that actually made it to TV. There was a couple Saturday Night's main events that came through Omaha that I got to go to.
Yep.
Got to see a TV taping with the Warrior in a funeral parlor, or Paul Bearer's old talk show.
Yeah.
I got to be there for the debut on Raw of Triple H.
Yeah. Wow.
I got to be there on Saturday Night's main event when Texas Tornado came down, or I don't remember if it was or Saturday Night's main event or if it was just a Superstars taping, but Texas Tornado coming down and challenging Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. I got to see Mr. Perfect versus Tito for the Intercontinental title. I mean, there was so
many just classic matches.
It's like, oh man, cool.
My nephew and I were talking about all the people I got to see, and it was more. I was trying to think of who the hell
did I not see? Yeah, who did I not get to see?
Yeah,
Skinner. Did you see Skinner?
Unfortunately, probably caught a Skinner match.
Actually, the answer is who the fuck cares?
I'm like, I don't think I did.
If you did,
he was gone by then.
Yeah.
No, I remember being.
Did you ever lapse at all in wrestling, or have you been straight
there
through?
There were times where I still watched. I just didn't watch as frequently because high school and what.
You just had your finger on the pulse, so you kind of knew what was going on, but still waned from time to time.
Yeah, during the early '90s, school got in the way of a lot of it, or work. But then once I was out of high school and could control my own schedule pretty much at all times.
Yeah, it's like, I can do what I want now. This is.
Yeah, I can watch Raw every week because
no one's gonna stop me.
Yeah, and I know I can watch Raw and Nitro on the same night because I don't have to worry about choosing because I can watch Raw when it airs and then they had a replay of Nitro right afterwards. So
I did the same thing.
I don't know why there was ever a huge ratings war between the two of them because you could watch both of them every week without having to pick one or the other.
That's my argument about AEW and NXT. I'm like, I can watch AEW live and then I can just watch NXT the next day on the network.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is there an argument?
Yeah. I mean, it makes more sense, at least in the cable era, where at least it's like, oh, You can't.
WCW shot themselves in the foot with that, just because if they were gonna be competition with WWF as far as TV goes, then make the people choose. Don't give them the option of watching the replay of your show that airs immediately after that show.
But for some reason, for 83 weeks, they still beat them.
Yeah.
But I mean, WWF was not great
horrible
at that time. So
yeah.
Oops.
So I mean, you've named a lot of the classic wrestlers that you saw, but growing up and maybe even to today, what are some of your favorite wrestlers that?
Shawn Michaels is definitely at the top. Not just from his time as the Heartbreak Kid, but stemming back from when the Rockers first debuted. I was gung ho, posters on the wall. I wanted the little armbands. If I could have grown a mullet, I probably would have grown a mullet just so I could have supported the rocker fashion. But I was also the short, chubby little kid who wouldn't look good in any of that stuff. So
I mean, I think that the mullet probably looks better on a short kid than an adult man.
I've already said Savage. He was a big one. Warrior. That was another. Those three. Jake was one of the first ones. I think I liked him more than Savage in the beginning, just because there was something about his persona that drew me in. I don't know if it was more fear.
Real.
Yeah.
Jake feels like he's gonna hit you, where like Savage is gonna hit you with a double axe handle, but you'll probably stand up.
Yeah, Savage is gonna punch me or take a cheap shot. Jake is going to plan out his bit by bit.
Maniacal.
Chop down.
Yeah. He's gonna put you in like a Saw type situation.
Loved me some Demolition.
Crush included, right?
No.
I mean, Demolition. Like, I feel like that we liked Demolition, but Demolition's kind of already gone, and I would have liked to see Demolition on a more weekly basis to get more of an understanding of Demolition. Because it feels like we watched like 8 shows with Demolition, and like we never really got.
I didn't care for Demolition.
See, I like the early Demolition
because I was always a Road Warriors guy. So.
Yeah, and see, I didn't have the Road Warriors. I did, but I didn't watch them as
much. Yeah.
Hardcore. I never, got to feel their spikes as they were walking to the ring in front of me. I mean, those are the classics. There's.
What about moving like more current? Like who are the guys that you really enjoy nowadays?
Guys now, I love AJ Styles, the FTR. I'm a huge supporter of FTR / Revival, whatever you want to call them. I'm not ashamed to admit that I have more than a little man crush on Cash Wheeler or Dash Wilder or whatever you want to call him. He is the Arn Anderson of the modern day.
Very true.
Yeah, he.
Do you also believe that the Earth is flat, like AJ Styles does?
Just because I like people as wrestlers does not
I'm just
mean
kidding.
I believe in their belief. Randy Orton. I mean, I'm wearing his shirt right now. I've been an Orton fan since the early days before his time in Evolution. John Cena, I was one who the day he came out to the ring and slapped Kurt Angle in the face, I knew that there was something special there because they hadn't really done that with anybody who was so unnamed at the time.
Yeah, and not just anybody gets to come out.
Yeah,
and
slap the main guy.
Yeah,
and we need to make sure that you don't deny us your Roman Reigns feelings.
Well, as WWE lately has been making it so much easier, there is really no Roman Reigns to talk about. So maybe I shouldn't discuss my feelings because if he can't be on TV, then why bother mentioning him at all? I liked Roman Reigns in the beginning.
That's just an insight because I always used to tease Shane about Roman Reigns because I know he does not like him.
I despise Roman Reigns just like I do Toby Keith and Blake Shelton and
what do they have
Sam
in common?
Hunt.
They're country singers.
Yeah, they're guys
What
that
is
annoy me, and I don't want them on my TV or
Oh,
my radio.
Roman Reigns just annoys you like
Yeah.
country music does.
It's
Okay, I was like,
kind
wait a
of
second,
like-
Roman Reigns
No,
is a
I like
country
country
career? That's
music. Don't
wild.
get me wrong.
I mean,
like
I do
country.
too. I just don't like the
hate
ones
those
you
people.
named. Yeah.
I don't know. Roman. I was the same way with The Rock, and I just wish that they would let Roman handle his
When
own
Rock
character a
started,
little more.
he was the best. After he beat Hogan, he became a completely different character.
I don't even know if I saw Rock.
No,
beat
I'm
Hogan.
talking Rocky Maivia. I hated Rocky
Oh
Maivia.
yeah, like before the Nation.
Oh, he was great as Rocky Maivia.
I mean, everybody booed him. So
he was a
in hindsight,
cream cheese baby face that got he did exactly what
I mean,
he needed to do,
yeah.
where he disappeared for a while, came back, and flipped the script.
The Rock
And-
blowing up in the Nation, and him becoming the Rock that everybody loved with his shiny shirts and being a smug piece of shit. I fucking hated him as a kid. My cousin loved him, and I was just like, nah, fuck this guy. I
Yeah,
hated him
the
so
best.
much. I mean, but he was doing his job. I hated
Yeah,
him because
that's-
he was hateable.
That's what made him, and he could play the part perfectly. Whereas Roman Reigns, when they put him in that situation now, he comes off like he's acting. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to talk cool.
Yeah.
Just let him be himself, and because I mean that's the times that I've actually cheered for him when he's got out there and talked as Joe. You know, when he isn't trying to do the Roman Reigns gimmick.
mean,
Because you're talking like a big tough badass, but then you're having to come out there with a bulletproof vest on all the time to fight in. You know, give me the Roman Reigns that was in the Shield that didn't say much and just came down there and kicked ass. Give me the Roman Reigns that wrestled in normal wrestling gear back in FCW or NXT, and
Yeah.
you know he's gone as far. It's like with Taker, where he had to change up things for a while just to make things fresh a little bit, and then bounce back, dabble in your old gear for a while, have a throwback match, something. But we've been wanting, at least I've been wanting Roman to see what you did. You made me talk about Roman Reigns for more than like a minute.
yeah.
Fuck.
Well, but like maybe like Roman to AEW. Roman Reigns went to
hell no.
AEW. They
Hell no,
would
stay away.
they would boo him so much that he would go in that he would come out of
I
remission.
mean, it might be the only way
Because-
that he
which
gets.
is totally not cool. But they would not be very nice to him.
No, I'd honestly see Roman as more of and maybe people will hate me for saying it, but I see him more as an impact player because he's just never. I know he can work, and I'm sure he's nice and great and fun and all, but I just haven't had the desire to really watch him on my TV, and I feel like maybe it's the Vince McMahon in me, but I've been watching this shit for all these years, so I feel like I know what people want.
I mean, that's the beauty of wrestling is everybody thinks they're the best booker.
Yeah.
So, just kind of, obviously you've watched WWF pretty much all the way through. You said you did watch some NWA, WCW,
Yeah.
you watched Nitro.
Yeah, NWA,
Did
WCW
you watch it pretty
was-
religiously as well?
It was hit and miss at first, and then trying to think of like the real first storylines that I can remember from when I consistently started watching.
I mean, you probably
WCW.
watched most of the NWO stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean before that, I mean I was watching.
Did you
I
watch
remember the Black
Nitro
Scorpion
1?
stuff. I'm trying to think.
Oh, okay,
of,
you remember the Black Scorpion stuff?
Yeah, I remember
Oh, yeah.
watching that as they aired it on the
Saturday
CBS.
night.
You know what fucking sucks?
The Black Scorpion.
Black Scorpion
Black
stuff.
Scorpion fucking sucks.
Yeah.
What a
Did-
waste of Sting's
did-
time.
Yeah, horrible
Remember,
voice.
remember when Sting should have been had a title for like a couple of years, and then he wins it off of a disillusioned Lex Luger with
Not-
with fanfare
hasn't happened yet.
yeah without
Hasn't happened yet.
yeah with no fanfare because Lex dicks him out of it.
Did you move on to Impact or Ring of Honor whenever
I
WCW
started
disappeared?
when WCW disappeared and TNA first came along. I got a couple of their first little
weekly pay-per-views.
just to see what was going on because there wasn't really anything else to
Yeah.
watch. Ring of Honor, I first heard about when there was some sort of a scandal going on with some guy from there that was caught in an online sting with some underage person. I can't remember who
That
the hell it
doesn't
was,
sound
but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the future repeats itself.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, Ring of Honor I didn't watch too much. Impact I watched here and there, but I was more of a, because they only had their weekly pay-per-views and I wasn't going to spend.
That's wild that
on
they
it.
$10 every week.
created a company off of like weekly pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Good on you, but I mean, if you have a product people want to see.
Oh, yeah. And at the time they had some good quality people on there. A lot of your startup people on TNA were, I mean, hell, you've got AJ Styles now, who is one of the best in the world, and he was underrated and overlooked for too long there because of TNA wanting to repeat history with WCW/NWO by bringing in all these people who were well past their prime.
I mean, that's the history of American wrestling, honestly. And like, is it like they bring in old guys and then just strap them back to the moon as if they never came back from it? And like in Japan, it's like, yeah, they have those guys, but those guys do the right thing.
Sometimes they create
and they put over talent as their star fades, as opposed to what American wrestling has done, which we could bitch about all day. Mm-hmm. And I'd say that's a quarter of the podcast in the first place.
And I mean, we know that, I know you're not into the Japan wrestling yet, but we've gotten you, at least you've watched a few matches here and there, because I know I've pushed them on you a little bit.
And even Matt and I are not super knowledgeable about Japanese wrestling. We are just like,
literally, we're brand new.
We're just new Japan fans, and we were like, okay, well, because of that, I no longer desire the American wrestling.
Stuff.
Like, I don't even keep up with it anymore because I'm like, well, I just don't know if it'll scratch the itch. There's certain matches I'll watch after they happen.
Everything hits a different spot in wrestling, which that's what you want, is a little bit of variety, Yeah,
so far the Japanese stuff that I've watched were, the Omega matches you were telling me about, the Jericho
Okada, or did you watch Jericho Omega? Or Naito?
Naito, okay.
Yeah, Jericho Naito match. That was a great one too.
But I mean, those were for being some of the actual first Japanese wrestling that I've watched. Those made me want to watch more. A lot of the shows in the past that you guys have done where you're talking about, the classic people, the only real names that stand out are like Inoki,
Baba, Muda.
And even that, like, we haven't gone back and watched those things, but we're always like impressed and like, oh well, man.
Oh yeah, I remember watching Muda back in the day on old NWA WCW stuff, and I was hooked right there. And as a kid, being pissed off that he didn't get to go further, or it felt like what they did with him was more of a waste. Kind of like they were doing with Asuka for this last 6-8 months, where it was face paint and
I was feeling that way as well, but then Matt told me that was kind of his excursion.
Yeah, it was almost like his excursion from Japan was to WCW.
So it's like he went over there and got over, but he wasn't established in Japan quite yet.
Not as well as what he was, obviously, once he went back, because they turned him into one of the top stars of New Japan after he went back. So,
for good reason.
Yeah. I mean, the reason we got this episode together kind of was so everyone kind of got to know Shane.
Yeah, we talked
we get to know him a little bit better
on this Tuesday in Texas.
A little bit, yeah, but
and whatever the other show was.
So we kind of see where he's coming from a little bit. So
Survivor Series.
There's a reason I didn't remember that.
But thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Permanently, because
absolutely,
I know I'm going to enjoy it, and we're going to get to expand.
It's a 3-man booth, and I am striving to be Jesse Ventura.
If I can get my wrestling geek on and out there into the world, it only makes me happier, because for too long we wrestling fans had to be closet wrestling fans until it became the cool thing that all the cool kids in college were wanting to take part of.
Yeah, and now it's like kind of cool now, and that'll fade. But the people that truly enjoy it will stick around. And we all have our times where we're like, I think I've had enough wrestling for a little while.
One of these days, I'm going to get up to Nebraska and get all of the old wrestling toys that I bought for my nephew and bring them with me so you can
what we should do
partake in
at
the
that point
splendor of
is
them.
Maybe book our own shows. maybe make a dice game.
We've got them all.
Yeah.
WWF, WW or WCW. Yeah.
Some Galoobs, some Hasbros.
There's some JYD. There's some Rick Steiners in there.
Well, if you like this show or any of our other ones, please go out there and rate us and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcast at. You can always email us any questions, comments, concerns. If you have any ideas for house shows for us to do, we love talking about whatever.
If there's a match we haven't mentioned, tell us.
So
We're not watching. Oh, what was the dark match? Fuck. It was what was the dark match on the last show?
It doesn't matter.
It was Diamond Dallas Page, not Big Cat.
Big Josh.
Big Josh, yes. So, not that. We're not watching that. If there's videotape of that, we're not watching that. I'm sorry. No log rolls here.
But you can also find us on Twitter at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTOX.
Send us a message. I want to know who your favorite wrestler is. Tweet us.
Talk to you later.